Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Disney. Disney panics, cuts budgets, delays, and cancels Marvel TV shows and films. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. Coming from Cosmic Book News, Bob Iger laying down the law on Deadpool 3, Marvel, and Kevin Feige. And what he's doing is creating limits on spending and very strict production and budget controls. We'll get into that in detail. Also from Cosmic Book News, Echo Season 2 in doubt at Marvel and Disney+. Disney has already been limiting their sequels, and there won't be a She-Hulk Season 2. Disney said no thanks to She-Hulk Season 2, confirms Tatiana Maslany. Also from Cosmic Book News, Marvel TV on Disney Plus getting new direction following Secret Invasion failure. What's the new direction? The new direction includes hiring showrunners for the Marvel shows, hiring full-time Marvel executives specifically for the television side of the MCU, and focusing on quality stories. This is professionalizing the TV production for Marvel, which when I first heard about this, I thought was ridiculous because the Marvel way is basically to just wing it and then try to fix it at the end and make it as good as you can. That's why Marvel's TV shows cost a minimum of $25 million each to make, and over at Netflix, The Sandman cost $15 million to make, and they almost canceled The Sandman because Netflix, even though it was a hit show for them, thought it was too expensive for them. And that's probably why Netflix actually makes money and Disney doesn't on their streaming service. Coming from the Direct.com, the Marvels just hit a disastrous box office milestone for the MCU. It's been finalized, and with the Marvel's theatrical release now over, the movie grossed a total of just $206.06 million at the worldwide box office. That is considerably less than the money they needed to even cover their expenses in the most favorable way that you could look at the account. An absolute massive money loser, but also for the first time, indisputably, the Marvel brand is in serious trouble. They can't count on Marvel movies making money for them anymore. From Cosmic Book News, Bob Iger laying down the law on Deadpool 3, Marvel, and Kevin Feige. It seems Marvel and Kevin Feige's time of running rampant with Disney money is over. According to a scooper, Bob Iger is laying down the law. The news follows Bob Iger stating back in July that Disney is pulling back on both Marvel and Star Wars. There have been huge Marvel failures. The news about Iger getting involved also follows Marvel's failures at the box office with The Marvels, the worst performing MCU and superhero movie of all time that only brought in around $200 million on a budget close to $400 million when you include the cost of marketing. And that's a serious financial loss. But the real loss is not being able to claim that Marvel prints money for the company. The Marvel franchise, which was the biggest film franchise any studio has ever had, is now broken. It's also known that Disney Plus MCU shows have been big busts, primarily with Secret Invasion, She-Hulk, and Ms. Marvel, the latter of which is the worst viewed MCU show on the streamer. The shows cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make. She-Hulk star Tatiana Maslany stated recently, the She-Hulk Season 2 series is not going to happen because they blew their budget on Season 1. It's been reported Marvel is overhauling its TV division as a result of the failure of Secret Invasion, which includes bringing the TV division closer to how television studios are supposed to be run instead of how movie studios run things. Presently, Daredevil Born Again is getting retooled and has recently begun filming. Marvel's production process is not working. The Marvel way isn't working anymore. Regardless what is going on with Bob Iger and Marvel, it is said to have to do with how Marvel approaches projects, specifically with visual effects and in post-production. It's known as the Marvel way of doing things, and basically it's doing things on the fly. Often projects are greenlit without the script being finished. The Marvel way also is said to see scripts finished while filming and projects finished in post-production. But we'll fix it in post, where they use CGI and the visual effects teams essentially to finish the movie, which costs them a bundle. The other problem with trying to finish a project without a full script, without knowing exactly where things are going, it's impossible to say when the project's actually going to get done. If you've ever been in project management, and I have managed a number of projects before, We try to keep track of, okay, what's the deadline for the project? What's the deadline for certain milestones? Are we ahead of schedule? Are we behind schedule? There's no way to know if you don't have everything finished before you start the project. You have to do a lot of rework and fix a lot of things. It costs a lot of money, and that's true, but it ties everyone up as well. You can't put out a lot of volume, for example, of anything if you don't even know what your capacity is to start and finish a project. On top of this, of course, they're working on multiple projects, pretty much everybody is, at the same time. So how can you possibly allocate your resources properly and do the best possible job if you don't really have a workable production plan? And when you manage a project and you say, okay, well, now it's 50% done, 80% done, 99% done, it's not done until it's 100% done. But if you haven't even finished the script, if there are elements of the visual effects that you need to do to redo certain scenes and rework certain projects, none of your production estimates are going to be accurate. Because you could say, well, I'm 90% done. We just have to redo this one scene. Like, well, how long is that going to take? And when you want to do it, are you going to have all the resources available to do it when you need them? There's really no way to know. Visual effects artists are stressed to the max. Case in point, Kevin Feige stated they changed the Captain Marvel movie in post-production, where they basically changed how the entire movie unfolded and how it all came together. It's also known Marvel stressed the visual effects teams to the max, so much so that Hollywood visual effects artists are now forming unions. And why are they forming unions? So they can get fair pay. But Marvel would also dump extra work on them that had Marvel been better prepared, the visual effects would not have to have been done. And part of the work that these visual effects operations are doing are based on a fixed budget. So who wants extra work for not extra money? Or even if they offer a little bit of extra money, is it really worth it to take on that extra work and take on that extra emergency deadline responsibility? It usually isn't. But if you've signed a contract with Marvel, you're stuck with it. It's also been claimed that working with former Marvel producer Victoria Alonso, who was in charge of visual effects, was a nightmare. Now Bob Iger has Marvel mandates for Deadpool 3. The info about Bob Iger and the Marvel mandates is actually in regards to Deadpool 3. Scooper KC Walsh tweeted that Deadpool 3 is following Bob Iger's new Marvel mandates. Walsh says, quote, shots and sequences have been locked in much earlier than previous films to allow the CGI teams more time, and there will be no last-minute visual effects changes during the process. Walsh responded to another tweet that doubts the July 26, 2024 release date for Deadpool 3 due to visual effects, but Walsh makes it sound as if Iger's mandates will make sure Deadpool 3 gets released on time in July. Assuming what Walsh says is correct, Bob Iger's Marvel mandates mean Marvel won't be changing anything in post-production, which will give visual effects artists much-needed time to get the visual effects right for the Marvel projects, which no doubt have been suffering and won't cause added costs or delays. Marvel is absolutely in turmoil. All of the Marvel movies have new writers, which includes Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, and Blade, and Captain America Brave New World reportedly is undergoing massive reshoots to the point it will be an entirely different movie than first intended. Like She-Hulk Season 2, it looks like Echo Season 2 is also in doubt at Marvel and Disney+. Of course, the viewership must not be that great. From Cosmic Book News, there's another big surprise as now there is doubt surrounding whether or not Echo will be getting a Season 2 at Marvel on Disney+. Marvel dropped all the episodes of Echo on the streaming service at one time on January 9th. However, Disney never made an official announcement about the viewership as they did for Percy Jackson, Loki Season 2, and Ahsoka. Viewership is not likely all that great. Echo did make Samba's TV top 10 for the week of release, coming in at the bottom at number 9. But again, that's likely because 5 episodes were released at once. But worth a mention is we see Echo didn't make Samba's TV top 10 for the following week. Samba TV also again failed to provide any numbers for the show while they previously did for all the Marvel shows on Disney+, which suggests the numbers weren't all that good. Also, Samba TV did not provide Doctor Who Disney+ viewership numbers. Will there be an Echo Season 2? Of course, if the numbers were good, you would think that Echo would be getting a Season 2, but the cinematographer on the show sheds doubt it will happen. Quote, I'm not sure about that, Echo cinematographer Kira Kelly told The Direct when asked if she felt Echo Season 2 would be a good choice for Alakwa Cox's next step as a character. Kelly continued, I feel like the world, anything that we can see Alaqua Cox in would be amazing. Whether it's another season for her or whether or not she's in the Daredevil show coming up or any other show. I would just love any excuse to see Alaqua perform again. It sounds like she never will. Fans should not bank on an Echo season 2. The article also adds that, quote, fans probably shouldn't bank on there being another season for Echo and that the show's reception was generally lukewarm. Also from Cosmic Book News, Marvel TV on Disney Plus getting new direction following Secret Invasion failure. Marvel fans have something to look forward to as the MCU TV shows on Disney Plus will see a new direction, which follows the news of Daredevil Born Again getting a reboot and the Secret Invasion series being such a disappointment. The new direction includes hiring showrunners for the Marvel shows, hiring full-time Marvel executives specifically for the television side of the MCU, and focusing on quality stories. That guarantees them professional oversight by people that understand they're making episodes, not standalone stories. The films are standalone stories. Episodic television is very different than standalone films, and the individual showrunner can take responsibility for the production. Can you imagine at your job or even at a restaurant if you didn't have a manager on site? Things just kind of fall apart without people having responsibility and accountability. It's no different when you're making a television production. You need a showrunner, and then you need executives to oversee these things specifically. The Hollywood Reporter goes over the details in its report about the Daredevil Born Again reboot and includes comments from Brad Winderbaum, Marvel's head of streaming, television, and animation. What happened with Secret Invasion? Regarding Secret Invasion being such a disappointment and failure, it has a 54% Rotten Tomatoes score and an even worse audience score of 48%. The Hollywood Reporter goes through all the problems that surrounded the series, including Marvel firing writer Kyle Bradstreet, who had been working on the series for a year until Marvel decided to go in a new direction. Bradstreet wrote and executive produced the USA Network Emmy winner Mr. Robot. So Marvel hired new writer Brian Tucker and directors Thomas Bezucha and Ali Salim, but then things went south. It said people working on the series broke off into factions with leaders vying for supremacy. Quote, it was weeks of people not getting along and it erupted, an insider told the site. In response to all the problems, Marvel Studios sent Jonathan Schwartz, a senior executive and member of Marvel's creative committee known as the Parliament, to right the ship. It said Secret Invasion was falling behind schedule so badly that it was going to cause actors to leave the series who had other commitments, and that Thomas Bezucha left the show and couldn't direct due to the new scheduling conflicts. The changes also included a major portion of the Secret Invasion team being replaced with new line producers, unit production managers, and assistant directors. Quote, the Marvel executive overseeing the show, Chris Gary, was reassigned and according to sources is expected to depart Marvel when his contract is up at the end of the year. As a result of all the problems surrounding Marvel on Disney Plus, the Hollywood Reporter says a new direction is in store, and that includes hiring showrunners. The showrunners will write the pilot episodes and Bibles for the shows. Marvel is hiring full-time executives to specifically oversee the TV side of things instead of straddling both television and film. The days of one-season shows are over. Marvel is now focusing on multi-season serialized TV. Marvel wants to create shows that run several seasons where characters can take time to develop relationships with the audience. Brad Winderbaum, Marvel's head of streaming, television, and animation, offers the article a response. Quote, we're trying to marry the Marvel culture with the traditional television culture. It comes down to, how can we tell stories in television that honor what's so great about the source material? It's a term we've not only grown comfortable with, but also learned to embrace, says Winderbaum of showrunners and Marvel TV's intention to hire them. We need executives that are dedicated to this medium, that are going to focus on streaming, focus on television, because they are two different forms. You would think they knew this before they got into it. It should work, he says, beyond the fact that it ties into other projects, or if they're going to be in a movie, or if it's setting up an Avengers film. And so you see that Disney is cutting Marvel budgets, they're pushing projects out, and they're canceling TV shows and rebooting TV shows and rebooting films and production processes. They have to do this because everything they've done has now resulted in this massive failure. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.